I fell on the floor, and as soon as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I got him out of the car seat, and I laid him down so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember. And I saw white, and a hearing sound. I fell on the floor, and as soon as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I checked all around my truck, and I ran into Big 5, and I asked the lady if she saw a baby or someone with a baby. She said no. It was a happy boy.
Whoever took our son, please give him back.
In this video, we revisit an essential piece of the Emmanuel Haro case. A video originally shared on social media by a relative of Emmanuel's mother was later deleted, but a copy has since resurfaced and circulated online. It was later highlighted on JLR Investigates channel, bringing renewed attention to the family's struggle. We will also discuss background details regarding Jack Haro, whose past criminal record has raised serious questions in the ongoing conversation about this case. If you're new here, we'd love to know where you're watching from. Share it in the comments. Don't forget to like this video if you find the coverage insightful, and subscribe for more updates on this case and others like it. For those just learning about Emmanuel's disappearance, let's begin with a brief background before examining the resurfaced footage. Emmanuel Haro was born in late January 2025 in San Bernardino County, California. At just 7 months old, his life had hardly begun. Infants of that age are in a stage of profound dependence. They rely entirely on parents or guardians for nourishment, comfort, and safety. While older children may leave behind more identifiable footprints in the world, school photos, friendships, hobbies, infants are defined almost entirely by the people entrusted with their care. As a result, Emmanuel's identity in this case is closely bound to his immediate family. Reports indicate that he lived primarily with his mother in Yucaipa, a semi-suburban community known for its proximity to both desert and mountain landscapes. Yucaipa is not a large city. Rather, it is the kind of community where daily life revolves around routine errands, schools, and local businesses. It is precisely the ordinariness of this setting that makes the case chilling. The disappearance of a baby from a retail parking lot transforms the familiar backdrop of everyday life into a site of trauma and suspicion. Although minimal details about Emmanuel's family have been released publicly due to the sensitivity of the case, what is known is that his mother was the central figure in his upbringing. At 7 months, infants are usually at the stage of developing stronger emotional bonds with caregivers. The attachment between mother and child tends to be intense, built on hours of feeding, soothing, and constant physical presence. The disappearance of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro on August 14, 2025, is a case that reads like the opening scene of a crime drama. An ordinary day, a mundane location, and a sudden rupture that transforms routine into catastrophe. What is unusual in this case, however, is not only the disappearance itself, but the chain of events and inconsistencies that emerged almost immediately afterward. To understand the scope of this mystery, one must reconstruct the sequence of events, examine the initial claims, and analyze how law enforcement and the public responded in the hours and days that followed. On a summer afternoon, the environment would have been active. Shoppers moving in and out of stores, cars entering and leaving the lot, families loading groceries, and employees gathering carts. It was not the kind of place where someone might expect a baby to vanish without someone noticing. This fact alone raised questions early on about the plausibility of the mother's story. According to her initial statement, Emmanuel's mother claimed that she had taken her infant son with her on errands. She told police that at some point during this trip, she left the baby unattended in the vehicle for a short period. When she returned, Emmanuel was gone. This account fit the framework of a classic abduction narrative: a vulnerable child left briefly alone, an opportunistic abductor taking advantage of the moment, and a frantic parent returning to an empty seat. Law enforcement and the public are familiar with this storyline, mainly because of decades of high-profile cases where children were indeed abducted under similar circumstances. But from the very beginning, specific details did not align with what investigators would expect. For instance, duration. The mother's timeline of how long she was away was unclear. Was it a matter of minutes or longer? Minor discrepancies in such details are often critical. Witnesses. Despite being in a public setting, there were no immediate witnesses who came forward to say they saw Emmanuel being removed from the vehicle. In most true abductions from parking lots, someone notices suspicious behavior. Security footage. Retail centers are often saturated with cameras. Yet no immediate video evidence surfaced corroborating the claim of an abduction. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department responded quickly to the report. Officers arrived at the scene, cordoned off sections of the parking lot, and began interviewing potential witnesses. K-9 units were reportedly deployed in the area, attempting to trace scents from the vehicle outward. One of the first unusual aspects was the lack of an Amber Alert. In the United States, Amber Alerts are issued when law enforcement has credible evidence that a child has been abducted and is in imminent danger. The fact that no alert was triggered for Emmanuel signaled that authorities had reservations about the mother's account almost immediately. Instead, police announced that they were conducting a suspicious missing child investigation. This phrasing is deliberate. By categorizing it as suspicious, they indicated that they could not confirm the circumstances of the disappearance and that foul play could not be ruled out. Within days of the report, law enforcement revealed publicly that they had identified inconsistencies in the mother's statements. Although the exact contradictions have not been disclosed, investigators often withhold such details to preserve the integrity of interviews and potential prosecutions. What can be inferred, however, is that some aspects of the narrative did not align with evidence collected at the scene. For example, did the timing of events match with surveillance footage? Were the mother's movements before and after the disappearance consistent with GPS or store receipts? Did forensic evidence in the vehicle support the claim of an abduction? In many high-profile infant disappearance cases, these kinds of inconsistencies often signal deeper problems. Law enforcement must determine whether the discrepancies stem from panic and confusion in a traumatic moment or from deliberate deception. Now, let's look at the video clip made by Jack Haro's sister, and other rising theories as regards this case.
About what's going on. He was abducted last night in front of the Big Five. Now, there are stories going around that some of you have fabricated. And I'm just on here just to tell you guys what transpired. So my sister-in-law and my brother, they were at my older nephew's football practice, and he needed a new mouth guard. So instead of taking everybody, my sister-in-law opted to go, and she only took the baby, which is Emmanuel. And when she got there, she realized the baby had went to the bathroom in his diaper. So as any mom would, which is crazy because a lot of you women are judging her for even changing a baby's diaper in the car, which is mind-boggling, because if there's no bathroom, you're gonna do what you have to do to take care of your child one way or another. She's a great mother, so everything you guys are saying about her, first of all, you don't know her, and show some compassion. Like, she just had her son taken from her. And also, back to what I was saying, so she realized that he had went to the bathroom on himself. Of course, he's a baby. And she laid him down in the back. Her back was turned. She was about to change him. She was getting everything prepared. And she felt like a tap on her shoulder. She turned around and all she heard was "Hola." And before she could even see this person, acknowledge this person, whatever the case may be, he socked her in the face, and she ended up blacking out. He knocked her out, and she fell to the floor. And next thing you know, she came to. She woke up. She was looking around for the baby. The baby was gone. She started panicking, screaming, crying. She called the police. She ran into Big Five to see if they had cameras outside or if anybody had witnessed anything. And nobody apparently didn't see anything. And then there's no cameras outside. However, we're so baffled because how are there no cameras outside? Like, in cases like this, like, what are people supposed to do? Sorry. So after that, my brother told me that he had realized that his wife wasn't back because by that time it was already 8 o'clock and she had left around 7, and he said that he ended up calling her, and she picked up the phone and she was hysterical and he couldn't even understand her, so the police had took the phone from her and told my brother what had transpired. And he had his ex-wife there because, you know, they had a son together, and his ex-wife and her boyfriend ended up driving my brother to Big 5, and ever since then we've been looking for Emmanuel. We've been giving out flyers. People came out, prayed for us, prayed for Emmanuel. It's been a very hard time for our family. I haven't slept. My brother hasn't slept. We just want him back. And there is a lot of discussion on whether my nephew is special needs. He is late in development, but as far as we know, the doctors say that he's in great health. He's fine. He just has a lazy eye, and that made him more beautiful than anybody I knew, because I loved him so much. It didn't matter what he looked like. And I know he's gonna come back to us, and with your continued prayers and your you uplifting us, I know he'll come back, and whoever took him here, I can't even say what you are on this app, but just give him back. He needs his family.
And here's a statement someone posted on Facebook. Used to work with Jake at Walmart. He should be the prime suspect in all this. I'm not going to go into detail, but his previous relationship didn't end so well. He's crazy, and he beat one of his kids so bad it caused severe brain damage. The child was not the same. Let's just be real here. Jake should be the number one suspect. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office, who is investigating the disappearance of this 7-month boy, put out a statement, and it says the search for baby Emmanuel Haro continues. Investigators cannot rule out foul play. Goes on to say, all right, summary. On Thursday, August 14th, 2025, at approximately 7:47 p.m., deputies in Yucaipa were dispatched to a retail business after Rebecca Haro reported that while she stood outside her vehicle changing her child's diaper, she was physically assaulted by an unknown male and rendered unconscious. So a male. When she woke, her 7-month-old infant, Emmanuel Haro, was gone. Deputies and K-9 units from San Bernardino and Riverside counties responded and began an extensive search. Emmanuel was not located. Based on the circumstances, Sheriff's Specialized Investigations Division responded and assisted with the investigation. Investigators interviewed multiple individuals, including Emmanuel's parents, Jake and Rebecca. During those interviews, Rebecca was confronted with inconsistencies in her initial statement and declined to continue with the interview. At this point in the investigations, investigators are unable to rule out foul play in the disappearance of Emmanuel. Investigators will continue their investigation to locate Emmanuel Haro. Now, notice the time there. They said 7:47 they were dispatched. Now, you heard from the family member that we played earlier. She said that Rebecca left at about 7 p.m. to go. So 47 minutes there, 47 minutes before the call, and that place was literally from the football field that she was at, about a mile to the store. So the sporting goods store. So I don't know, man. The time here is not vibing either. The time's not vibing, she arrived there, went immediately to start, doing, changing the baby's diaper, and alleged she got knocked out and everything like that, woke up and things, she went in. You would think that would have happened like 20 minutes or so sooner than that, not 47 minutes from the time she went there. So, that's an inconsistency that I see. Let me know what you think.